I'm just chit chatting. I get chatty when I'm tired.
Well, we are on, we are on, we are on. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight.
Yes.
Looking forward to this discussion. We are live, Rhonda. We are live.
Yes. And
Yay!
welcome back, Arshina. I missed you. I missed you. We kept
Thank
your
you.
seat
I'm
warm.
back. I'm
We kept
back.
your seat warm.
I
But I
am
knew you
back.
would be
I'm
back.
happy to be back.
Yes.
I am looking forward to more conversations with you, Miss Rhonda, and the different people in the group. This group really keeps me laughing. I tell you, it gets me through the day. Someone posted something the other day about being in the group, and really it has really been the highlight of my day. I've met some very wonderful people, connected with some people that I knew before, and so I'm just really excited. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. um we have a very special guest that's joining the ladies in the velvet room.
Okay. Oops, I need to plug
Mr. Dion, brother Dion,
Good
thank you
evening. Good evening.
so thank you for joining us tonight. We're excited. We're excited to have you. It's always good to have varying perspectives. When we have a topic, I know personally I don't like to be one sided, so I always like to get a different perspective. So we are certainly glad to have you here. Feel free to come on back to the Velvet Room and chit chat with us for a bit every now and again.
Let's see how this goes.
Okay.
You're gonna be great. I promise you, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. We have some other
We're
ladies. I
friendly.
can't see everyone in the room, but Miss Steph, Miss Kim, thank you so much for being here with us. We do want to ask you to engage with us. Give us your feedback, talk to us a little bit. Um, but we're gonna go ahead and kick it on off. The tonight's Velvet Room is about hotels. And so we kind of came up with that from you all know the famous Hotels album by Miss Jasmine Sullivan. It is a hot ticket right now. I think everyone is listening to it. If you haven't heard it, you got to check her album out. It is a really dope album. But one of the songs up there on the album titled Hotels um, was Girl, I think it's entitled Girl Like Me.
Mhm.
And basically, it kind of ties into the video that Rod posted for our promo for tonight. Let me give you a little bit of the backstory. So, part one of that video, the young lady was preparing to go see her aunt, her sick aunt, and she had this bag packed, and so her significant other was questioning her about where she was going, and why did she pack red bottoms to go see a sick aunt in COVID times? Why are you going to see anybody that's sick? So she stuck to her story of, I am going to see my sick aunt. I'm not going to All-Star Weekend. I am going to see my aunt. So she stuck to her story. Fast forward, she returned from Atlanta, and so the boyfriend was like, "Oh, so how's your aunt? Oh, she's fine. This, that, and the other." And he caught her. She got busted because he had pictures. Why you post on social media when you know you're being deceptive? I don't know, but she posted on social media about having such a great time and riding in Lambos and just enjoying her weekend at the All Star Weekend in Atlanta. And so that brings us here. Rhonda's going to incorporate some things that she's learned about All Star Weekend that I didn't know about. But so we just want to talk. We just want to have a conversation. And so my first question to anybody that's willing to answer or jump in, is he doing too much? Is old dude, was he doing too much? Questioning her. She wanted to live her life. She wanted to live her best life in ATL. She wasn't going to pick up a baller, any of that stuff. She just wanted to live her best life. Was he doing too much? why was she being deceptive about it? So let's talk about it. Anybody want to jump in?
We got to let the evidence show, though. She was looking for a baller because he said, you ain't never been in a double R in your life. So I think her intentions were a little different than the gracious host has described here.
Well, I agree with you, brother Dion. I do agree with you. I think that you know, I'm just going by what was presented. What was presented, she said she was going to see her aunt. You know what I'm saying? Let that young lady live her best life. If she want to go to Atlanta, my only thing is don't be deceptive. Just be honest. Mm-hmm. Just tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you know, in the age of social media, and you know you're gonna get caught because your girls put you out there by posting you on their pages, whether or not, you know. And in her head, she was probably thinking, oh, you know, he doesn't follow me. He, you know, he's not my friend on Facebook. But it doesn't matter because you are always connected to somebody that knows somebody that can see your whatever screenshots. We're in the age of screenshots, you know, and I hate that, but it is what it is. So my thing is just be honest, just be straight up. Just, hey, I want to go to Atlanta and live my best life. I'm not trying to go see nobody. I think the part for me was when she wasn't being truthful, and it kind of she got caught in a lie, and it made it seem as if she was doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing. But that's just my opinion. Anybody else want to jump in?
I see Dion thinking really, really hard about that, but I'm just going to jump in from the standpoint of someone who's never done this, of course. But you know,
no spend, Rhonda, you've never had a spend the night bag.
My daughter's on the line, so I'm not going to answer. I'm going to defend on that. But what I would say is, I've never. Oh, well, have I lied? I've never. I don't think I've lied about my whereabouts, with the intention of it being a lie about my whereabouts. Now I might be kind of vague in my description of where I'm going. I mean, but I went to see my aunt, hung out with my cousins. We didn't do anything but chill. Okay. As he was asking this question, she should have kind of picked up on the fact that, wait a minute, maybe he knows a little something more than I think he knows, right? But like you said, yes, she held to her story. Definitely. But I will say, I think, to answer your earlier question about was he doing too much, was he being too controlling? Mm-hmm. Personally, I think his issue was more with the fact that she lied than the fact that she went out in Atlanta, right? I think if they had maybe, again, communication is key to success. If they maybe had a conversation about it, who knows? I don't know what the relationship was like before all of that, but I'm sure the lying didn't make it better, right? If anything, absolutely. Especially when it was a lie that's so easily turned over, right? Because she should have known that she was on somebody's camera. Those pictures, I mean, it looks like she was posing for the pictures and things like that. So come on, it was a bit much. It was a bit much to try to continue to hold on to the lie. I think she could have just done better to just come out and say, look, I'm going to All-Star with my girls and just hang out or whatever. But that's my personal opinion.
All right. I saw a lot of comments that was like, sis is for the streets. Can we really go that far? Can we really go that far and put old girl out like that? I mean, she's for the streets because she wants to go and, you know, have a good time. Somebody help me to understand. I'm just not understanding that part. You know, is that considered for the streets? If I'm just wanting to go and you know, just have a good time, chill, whatever, do I have to be for the streets for me to want to have fun?
Yeah. But see, I think it started out early though, because you said she wanted to go live her best life. And so as a guy, I'm like, you mean to tell me your best life is without me? Like, is that what you're saying to me? And then when you add in the lie, that just makes it worse, because you truly are saying, I'd rather be doing this than be with you, but because I can't just come out and tell you what I'm going to do, I feel that way. Now I'm going to lie about it. And then when you get caught, and I mean, there is a lot of backstory here, because what made him even want to investigate on what she was doing? You know what I mean? Because he said he had someone follow her, or her close friends, I think, on Instagram.
His friends was her close friends. And
right.
like that.
And so they saw it and shared it and whatnot. And so I think the deception is the aftermath. To me, the lie or the plan to lie is what needs more question, because she didn't just do that just because.
See, that's why we needed a different perspective on to hear what you thought as a guy, because I'm sure most of us are thinking, she told a lie, but she should have been straightforward, whatever. But to hear it from you, it takes a different spin on it. So, Miss Kim, I think you want to say.
I feel like I just thought, even like when she came in, and I think like Rhonda hit it, when she came in and he started questioning, it's like nowhere in your mind, he's questioning me. I kind of need to come clean. And I think like Rhonda hit it, when she came in and so that was really kind of like, where does the truth, or even saying, oh yeah, I went to see my aunt, but my girls were there and they got me to go out. I didn't want to, but they drugged me out because my aunt was sick, just something.
Okay. Excellent. So my next question is, do you feel like there's a self-esteem issue here with the guy? Like, is there any type of low self-esteem that he's hounding her and, questioning her, and he's already caught her in a lie, and then she comes back and you still kind of playing on that same thing? Is there something, is there something that he may be, what's the word I'm trying to say? Is there something with him that maybe he's trying to hold on to her, and she doesn't really want to be there, but he's like, so did anybody pick up on anything like that? Maybe some self-esteem issues?
Again, I didn't pick up on that at the beginning. I'm thinking like Dion was thinking, like maybe there's a history of some stuff that's been going on for him to be like, as soon as she walks through the door, ready to ask these questions. But I also had to think of it if the tables were turned, if he had gone out on the weekend with his boys and turning up and partying at the club and lied about it, how would she respond, right? So I mean, it's like, I mean, he was, I thought he was actually pretty calm at first, and he even said, look, before you start the lie, just stop, right? He gave her an out. He gave her an opportunity to tell the truth, and she still hung on to that lie. So I don't know. I think, in my opinion, I think that he wasn't necessarily being insecure, but I think this may have not been the first time this situation has happened. And so maybe he's like letting her know, look, I'm tired of it. This is enough. But, because sometimes, and I hear some of the stories in the lounge, and some of the hear from the men's side and the women's side, some of us, we do feel like there's a double standard. Like, we should be able to get away with things that the men can't get away with. And that's not right. Like Chris Rock said, that ain't right. Right. So I mean, so we need to if we're gonna dish it, we gotta be able to take it too, right? In my opinion. But I'll let some of y'all younger folks answer. Amber or Steph, I know y'all don't have your cameras on, so you're not on the YouTube part, but we can still hear your voices if you have anything you'd like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick though, I think the key word is trust, not insecure.
Yes.
And I understand, like, it may be said sometimes, oh, you're insecure for not trusting me. But like, why don't I trust you? Don't call me insecure for not trusting you. You've done something before to make me even think this is a possibility.
Excellent.
You know what? I agree with you, Dion. And I think one of the things that struck me was he, they always say, with the receipts. And I just felt like some things had happened prior about her whereabouts or about trust issues. And I think before there were no pictures. So he kind of, it's in the back of your mind. Like, oh, I know you did it, but the way she was over explaining things. And it's like, so this time, oh, I have pictures. So now, do you want to change your story because now I have pictures?
There was another key there. I don't know if y'all caught it. He kept saying, and what did you do? He was looking for details. And, people, when they lie to details, they don't think about those details. And that's where she should have known that he had her already.
Okay, so I didn't do
That's
my homework. So I just went and watched the video to figure out what I was talking about. I agree with somebody said it's probably a history of it. I feel like they probably shouldn't be together. But also homeboy was on joke time. He was like, oh, you ready? I got this. I got information. He came in like, oh, you didn't do nothing? Nothing at all? That was funny to me. Yeah, he was on joke time, but it is like toxic joke time. But toxic is a very much overused word, but they clearly have something happen that they are not good for each other. He was ready. So yeah, that's all I gotta add.
Thank you. I agree.
Now let's talk about something that you have brought up earlier, Rhonda, about some women. You had read a story or heard a story about some women that had actually packed up and gone on a one-way ticket to the All-Star weekend.
So, okay,
let's talk about
as
that.
someone who's never been to the All-Star weekend, I need some insight on the whole purpose of this thing. But from what I'm inferring and gathering, that part of the reason why women flock to All-Star weekend is to try to gain the attention of said baller or someone with money. That is kind of their overall intention of going. Is that, am I clear in my inferencing? Okay, all right. So evidently, there were some women that went down there with that intention, but without having a full plan, because they only purchased a one-way ticket to Atlanta from wherever they may have been. Well, so then when they got there, their plan fell through because they did not meet said baller, or if they did, he sure didn't give them any money. So now they have set up GoFundMe accounts to try to get themselves home. I need to understand. I really need to understand. One woman, her GoFundMe was for $1,200. The other one set one up for $2,500. Where are you going, boo? That you need $2,500 to get home.
$2,500 to get back home?
Yes.
$2,500 to get back home.
Where you going back to Africa, aren't you? Because $2,500.
Right, had one about I need to get home to my kids. You didn't think about your kids before you left on that one-way ticket? Come on now, sis. Come on. We have to do better than that. And so those types of stories are what kind of feed into some of the comments or the things that I've seen in the lounge and other places about how women are for the love of money. They're all caught up in a man for his money and what he can do for them, which is something else that I wanted to discuss. Because I'm just gonna be honest. I ain't never had a man pay my bills other than my daddy. And that was when I was living in his house. Even my husband wasn't all that great at it. So I'm just saying. So I just want to understand, am I missing something? Is there a class I should have taken that will get these men to pay my bills? And if so, please register me. But if not, where does this mindset come from that women believe that, or just because I'm all that in a bag of chips, you got to pay my bills or you got to pay for me to travel? Please help me understand. Can anybody help me understand that? I don't know. I know that's a lot in all of that.
Because I have some bills over here that need to be paid myself.
Yes.
So,
nice little stack of them right here.
Yes.
So whatever class that you looking for, you make sure you hook me up with it, because
I'm ready.
Somebody,
I'm looking in the comments too. Anybody y'all know?
Like I can't even get a date.
For real. Come on now.
I can't even get a date, let alone somebody breaking off something to pay on my mortgage or a car note. Can a sister get a date?
Right.
And so I think you hit on something very, very, very telling, Rhonda, it makes the perception that we are gold diggers.
Yes.
And contrary to, and we've had this conversation repeatedly in this group about, you know, and I distinctly remember a post someone had made about, you know, as a woman, could we, I don't know if the word was afford or would we take a man on a date that we would expect him to take us on or something to that effect.
Right.
You
It was
all
something
remember that?
along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for me, it's all about the caliber of woman. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, I'm only speaking for myself. I would not expect, you know, any man to do anything for me that I would not be willing to do for him.
Mhm.
Yes.
Be it a nice date, a trip, a gift. But I'm gonna stop. I want my brother to give us some insight. Did we miss a class in college on how to snag a baller? Did we miss that class somewhere?
I wasn't teaching it, so I couldn't tell you about that. But I'm gonna scale it down and probably get myself in a little trouble. But how many ladies leave their house to go to the club or whatever and say, I'm not taking no money because they're gonna buy me drinks? To me, it's the same concept. These ladies were like, I'm leaving my house and I'm gonna go to Atlanta because someone's gonna buy me a ticket back. And I think again, on a Friday night, those women that hang out at the bar and kind of, you know, do the little eye thing, and you know what I'm saying, we fall for it. We go buy the drink, but we don't know the intention is that's it. I need you for the drink. I don't really want any conversation. I don't want to give you my number. I just want that drink because I didn't plan to spend any money tonight. So I think that might be where this mindset is coming from of going to Atlanta, but it just reeks of irresponsibility, especially if you got kids you gotta get back home to. I don't know. That's a different kind of mindset I'm not used to.
And and as a guy, would you even want to be with someone that risked it all to come to Atlanta and leave your kids behind and not have a definite way to get back home?
No, we're not in the same. We're not in the same circles.
We not. We definitely not. You know, it's just to me. I can't even imagine. And I guess you would have to have a level of self-esteem that's like out the roof, basically, to expect someone to you know, to snag you up in over a weekend. Like, what are you doing to, and I can only imagine, I'm not even gonna say whatever, but to even to even just think about, you know, what could you possibly say to someone that would get them to, in the course of a Friday night, Saturday, and maybe a Sunday, to say, I want her. I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna take her. Like, over the course of 72 hours, you think someone has made, like, I want to know. Sis got to write the book.
I don't think marriage is part of the process in this. I really don't. I think that's not part of the concept. That's
boo
not
the
concept.
You know, but what have you?
To me, it just, and I know you're being politically correct. I'm just gonna say it boils down to, in what my opinion of this is, if you're going someplace expecting to meet somebody to pay a bill for you or to do something like pay your way home, what is the currency that you're providing other than your body? And that to me is prostitution, ain't it? And then, like, the oldest oldest job in the world, or whatever they say, the oldest profession. So I mean, but again, I maybe because y'all millennials, maybe y'all can help me understand this, but from Gen Z, Gen X, from my standpoint, it's a quid pro quo situation, right? That they're expecting something for something. I don't go to a club anymore, but when I used to, I would always have my money in my pocket. My father taught me from a young age. He said, no matter where you go, if you go with somebody, even if you are going on a date, you still have enough money to pay your way or your way home if necessary,
That's
right?
right.
If you got to leave that
That's
joker
right.
sitting in the restaurant, you leave him sitting there, but you come on home. So I've just always, that's been my mindset of I don't sit there, but again, I know I'm a little different. Um, but I just wonder how and why, or like you said, what is it that makes women think that they should get this? What is the, and then some of these pictures that were on the GoFundMe's. I mean, girlfriends, they had the Slade wigs and the lashes and the makeup laid and the nails. They spent a cool $400-500 on just that look that as they're taking the picture. So that could have been their ticket home, right? But so I'm just saying again, it's about priorities, right?
Yeah.
But I do wonder, and I wish we had someone that was not necessarily that thought that way, but someone that could help us understand it.
Yeah.
Because I think in this group we have different mindsets of, but there may be some people in our group who do feel like that. We have had the conversation about dating a man who makes less money than you. Well, I think that's something that comes up in this forum of educated women with multiple degrees and high level positions sometimes. Is the love of money blocking us from our blessing? Could it be that the person that's supposed to be our soulmate might not be making the same six figures we are, or might have a job that's less glamorous? Maybe he comes home dirty, but he still comes home and he's paying the bills and he's treating you well and not sharing everything with every other woman out there in the street. I don't know what's are those the things that we should be
Gotcha.
talking about or thinking about?
I mean, for me, I definitely think that, and we talked about this the last show that we did with the guys, Rhonda, about sometimes we have to alter our preferences and stand on our standards. And so in the realm of relationships and love and finding someone which to me is the goal for most of us in this group, because why else would we be here? It's a group for singles. So I would hope that the majority of us are looking for that missing, I don't want to say missing piece, because sometimes people tend to think like you need a significant other to make you whole. That's not what I'm saying, but a relationship, I should say. And so even if the person is not what we had envisioned our significant other to be, with
I'm taking notes.
Are you taking notes, dear? No, but seriously, I can only speak for me, and I'm just speaking for myself. I don't need I don't want to be, I don't need, or I would, no, who doesn't want someone that makes six figures, seven figures? You know what I'm saying? So just needs and wants. Do I want someone that makes six figures? Or absolutely, because I have a lifestyle that, I would like to maintain. And I feel that if we combine, we could be, we could have an even better lifestyle. But that's not a part of my short list of wants and of wants, I should say, or needs, not wants, needs. As long as he's a provider, I am at the point in my life, he doesn't even have to be college educated. As long as we can hold a conversation and, even if he's working two jobs and still don't make the amount of money that I make, that's fine with me, because I'm looking for more stability, commitment, someone that has goals, aspirations. So I've never been that type, as Dion said, to go out to a club and not bring any money with me, or even go on a date and not have money, because you just never know. You just never know. He might do the dine and dash type of deal. You know, there's some guys out there that are looking for a meal, just like, you know, the whole thing of, you know, women just are looking for go on dates for food. Well, I believe that there are men that do the same thing. So for me, I definitely would not be that female that would just roll up to a bar and expect a guy to pay for my drink. If he does, wonderful. If he doesn't, I'm still straight, because I have my money to take care of that. So for me, it's not even about white collar jobs or, you know, making X amount of dollars. To me, it's more of our connection, how we mesh, what we can bring together to make more. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, sis.
Non, you are burning. I feel like you want to put me on the
Nah, you said a word. I got to jump on this word because I think this word gets tossed around and it causes confusion. You said provider. If I'm not financially the leader or the head or taking care of the situation, how do we still use the word provider? And I say this because I hear many conversations that women they say, I want my guy to lead me and I want him to be the head of household. And if he can't provide for me, then he's not my guy. He's not the guy for me. So I know we can say that provide could be emotional, you know, intimacy, all that good stuff. But a lot of times I think provider comes across as you are the financial head of this situation. So if I work at McDonald's and I do 14-hour shifts a day, but I still only make $35,000 a year, am I a provider? You know, I'm providing something to the family, but am I truly that provider that tradition says I should be? And she's making $95,000, $120,000 a year. Where do we fall with this provider word? That's what I want to make sure we clarify that before we keep using it a little further.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't want to bogart the conversation, so I'll let one of the other ladies give their definition of provider.
I'll say this, as a woman who has multiple degrees, living in Mississippi. So living in Mississippi, working in Memphis, I always laugh at the posts where people will say, oh, if he can't pronounce, you know, this list of words. And I laugh because Memphis, Mississippi, I would never date if I gave a man a list of words to pronounce. And I'm a teacher. And I would not, and I've been here about 15 years. And I just think I would never have a date if I gave a man in Mississippi or Memphis a list of words to pronounce, literally. So I've had to, I've had to compromise things that I guess that list of wants versus needs or preferences. I've had to kind of bring that list down. So when we talk about a provider, even if you are working at McDonald's, do you have a McDonald's mindset? So if you are working at McDonald's, is that your end goal? So I think a lot of times if I meet a person or if we meet men who are not making the amount of money that we make, where's your mindset? Is McDonald's your end game, or is that where you are today?
Did we lose her?
Yeah, we lost. Kim, we lost your sound.
Okay.
Kim, we lost your sound again.
I'm meeting men who are like right out of about 4 to 5 years divorced. They're in the process of rebuilding. So where they are today is not where they're going to be in 4 to 5 years. So the provider mindset and where you are today are two different things. And I think the 20s, early 30s mindset of where I was and what I wanted is very different from my 49-year-old mindset.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that.
totally agree with that too.
Mhm.
I was going to chime in unless someone else had something else to say too. But
Okay.
so part of what you said kind of got missing, Kim, because you were the sound went out for a little bit, but I could pick up on what you were saying. I used to kind of joke around with some of my friends and say, because I have this big forehead, and I was like, do I have broke men across my forehead? Because it was like that's all that was coming in my space, right? And to me, broke isn't a concept of the amount of money you make. Broke is the mindset, right? And how you think about the money that you make, and if you're constantly wasting the money, I think is how kind of, you spending money on things that really don't matter, or just the way that you treat the money. But then one time I was dating a doctor. I was like, oh, I snagged a doctor. Okay. We went out on our first date, and it was at Chick-fil-A, but it was a lunch date. So I'm like, okay, it makes sense. The Chick-fil-A was near his practice. So we met there and we had lunch, and I love Chick-fil-A. So, he let me order first, and I ordered a salad, trying to, show off for the doctor, so I ordered the salad and instead of my waffle fries. And then he pulled out a coupon because he had whatever, I guess it was a buy one, get one free kind of situation, right? So he had the same thing I had because it was a buy one, get one free. I didn't ask anything. I'm just like, okay. But as we were talking, he mentioned that, yeah, he's a doctor, but he's divorced and he had child support and pretty much living in the DMV. He had basically enough money to cover his living expenses, pay his child support, and the rest was he was basically no money. And so it wasn't about the money situation with him for me. We eventually just didn't click, where our schedules just didn't work, and those types of things. We didn't see each other anymore. But it was one of those things where it's like, oh, people can think, oh man, she's dating a doctor, but that doctor, just because he's a doctor doesn't mean he's making a lot of money, right? Well, he's making the money, but it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend, right? And so he was having to spend it, which makes sense. I'm glad to hear that he was a responsible father, paying his child support, doing the things he needed to do. But it's those types of things that after a while I just was like, I don't even care what the person does for a living. I don't care about how much money they make. And the provider concept, Dion, to answer your question, to me is more, it's not always financial. It is more emotional and intellectual. And I think I mentioned it, we were on that call about dating at a certain age. I just want someone in my corner rooting me on, right? And, yeah, I can pay the bills. Don't like to always pay the bills, but I can, right? But to have just a little bit of a second income would be a buffer that provides that cushion so that it's not as much stress. So, if you're working at McDonald's and you're the manager at McDonald's, but you're take pride in your job and you're proud of being a manager and you're mentoring these young people and helping them develop and grow and be who they want to be, I have no problem with that. A lot of people I know who've been managers at McDonald's go over and end up owning McDonald's, right? You never know. It depends on, again, that mindset. If you want to have that entrepreneurial mindset, you can. If not,
I gotta test you real quick though.
Okay.
Because you just upgraded my man to a manager. I never said he was a manager.
I thought you said a manager.
Nah, I said he
said
worked
making
at
$35,000. Okay, well, okay.
So-
Well, I'm assuming at 50 something years old that he's at least has gotten to the point of being a manager at that point.
Let's say he doesn't, because earlier you said, I don't care where he works.
That's true.
So you come to McDonald's on your way to work to get your coffee. He's got, a little flour on his chest. He's been making biscuits, and he leaned out the window like, "Oh, how you doing, Miss Lady?"
Mm-hmm.
Can he get past that? He works at McDonald's, and clearly he works back there in the fry cook or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Can he get your number? Because it's about his mindset. How do you get past him getting to want to know you in that drive-through window,
right,
to even let you know his mindset?
You're right. You're backing me in a corner. But no, I'm gonna stand on my word. I am. I mean, 'cause at that point to me, it's about the approach, right? And I think it kind of goes back to um, the conversation piece, and uh, I guess as a teacher, a former teacher, to me, words are everything, right? So if how you talk to me, how you're able to hold a conversation, to me, that means more than everything else. And if he came in, hey, honey, how that kind of approach might be more of a turnoff than the fact that he's standing with the flower on his apron or whatever. Um, and the you know, but the if he were to speak to me in a way that was respectful and actually complimentary and not a little creepy, that's a whole different opportunity in my mind. And so I think that could be, I would be open. I would be open. I wouldn't be mean. I wouldn't be mean. I would listen.
All of y'all are on the opposite side of the fence from
from you.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay, so first of all, I'm a money person. Like, I love money, and not in a bad way, but like, I'm a budget coach. I'm a money coach. Like, I spend money. I make money. Like, I'm a money person. So number one, you have to be financially literate. Like, that's a non-negotiable. I'm not teaching you that. But one of my expectations is to have a partner in crime. And you can't be my partner in crime if you can't live the life that I live. And you can't live the life that I live if you don't make a certain amount of money. Now, the exact dollar amount, it varies, because it also depends on what your expenses are. Your expenses matter actually more than your income. But if I'm like, hey, I want to go to Mexico next month, and you'd be like, well, I'm going. So it's either you gonna go with me, or I'm gonna see you when I get back. And I don't want to see you when I get back, and I'm not being in your way. That's not my responsibility. We can go half. I could take you one time, you could take me one time, but I don't want to have to tell you 6 months, a year in advance that I want to go somewhere or do something, because I'm going to do it. And so I want you to be able to do it with me.
Are you going to Mexico to see your aunt?
I'm going to. I ain't got nothing to lie about. Okay, listen. I don't tell no lies. What's the lie for? Why? I do have an aunt no, I lied. Never mind. I have an aunt in Atlanta, but I do have an aunt in Atlanta for real.
Just have an aunt.
But I would just tell you, I would honestly just be like, I'm going to Atlanta. Period. Like, what is the conversation? I'm going to Atlanta. Get over it. Or come with me.
Or come with me, right?
Or come with you.
So
I like the way you think.
I'm not saying you have to have a certain job or have a certain amount of money, but you just can't live my life on $30,000 a year. You can't. And depending on where you live, you might not be able to do it on 60. So
you said you're a money coach, though. How can you not teach me about money if you're a money coach?
Because why am I teaching you? Because you're my partner. We can level up each other, but I'm not about to teach you from nothing. You can pay me to teach you as my client. You could take a class or join a boot camp, but you're not about to. Oh, babe, can you? No, you can't. What's the line item? We can discuss the line item. I'm not about to put your budget together for you. I get paid to do that.
Fair enough.
Not gonna do it for
That's
you.
just to kept it real.
Yes.
She kept it real, and I appreciate that.
I love it.
Me too. I really do. I like that rawness. I like that's your stance, and that's that's perfectly fine. Hey, you better come correct when you come to Miss Amber, because she's not playing around. She is not playing. Amber, what area are you in? North, south, east, west? Where?
I'm in DC.
Okay, so yeah, so they have to have.
That's what I'm saying. Like, depending on where you are, because like $60,000 here, you just barely surviving. Like,
yeah, that's nothing.
I mean, I know if you live in a lot of other places, you can make 60 and like have a bunch of discretionary income, and you good. But if you here, it's a little tight unless you got a whole bunch of roommates, which is fine if that's how you decide. Like, I have nothing wrong with you having a bunch of roommates as long as you have the lifestyle that allows you to live my life with me.
Got it. I guess for me, I'm in the South, so it's a little bit different. I would like to say that if I was approached by a gentleman that was hitting the biscuits at McDonald's, that I would be like, okay, like sure, we can go out, you know. I guess for me, if you are working at McDonald's, I don't have or anywhere else, Walmart, I don't care. But what else are you doing? Like that can't be your be all end all. Like I need you to say, oh, that's just my part time, or that's just my weekend, but I have something else. Because to me, again, it's not the amount of money, it's what you're doing with what you have. And you can't have, I think Amber said it, you can't have more expense than income because you're living in a deficit at that point. So for me, if you're making 35,000 at McDonald's as an employee, not a manager, but as an employee, you're just a night shift worker. You work the 6 to 62 shift and you're making 35,000 a year. How are you managing that 35,000? Are you able to pay your rent and, you know, buy food and still have a life? You can't be making 35,000 and 20 of that is going to child support. That's no, then I definitely don't want no parts of that because eventually I'm going to end up taking care of you, and which means that I'm going to end up taking care of somebody else's children. That's not going to happen. So if you're making 35,000, but you're using that 35,000, you know, you're spending it and you're budgeting and you're allotting for what have you, I don't mind that. But you can't be making $30,000 and because I like Amber, I have a certain lifestyle. You know, I love to shop. It's a very bad habit that I have. I love bags and shoes. I you know, I love the Brahmin bags and all that. So I can afford that for myself. Um, and I wouldn't expect that, you know, from him all the time, but be able to purchase me a Brahmin bag or a Coach bag or whatever every now and again. But again, with that 35,000, you can do that, but you cannot do it if you are in the hole already every month because you're paying, you know, 1,500 a month in child support, and then you're paying another 750 in rent, and you just can't do it. So for me, if you're that employee, you're doing good, you know, with that 35,000. But say you're in school because you want to be a chef, then to me, I can think, okay, like, you know, maybe 3 years from now, you know, he might be owning his own catering company. So yeah, I'm willing, I'm open. But if I see you just going to McDonald's every day and you come home with flour on your shirt, like, what else are you doing? That's my question. Do you have some investment somewhere that I don't know about, or, you know, are you a mechanic? Are you a plumber? Are you doing something else besides that? That's just me. That's just Dion. I feel like you just want to be like you.
I'm always ready for a monkey wrench. First
Okay.
of all, shout out to McDonald's because probably all of us got our career started at McDonald's. So no knock on McDonald's.
Nope.
I worked at McDonald's when I was 14.
I was a Golden Corral girl. I was a Golden Corral.
I worked in a hair salon. I was bougie.
But here's the monkey wrench stuff. So without knowing that guy, not really engaging in too much conversation, he could have a house that's paid off, his car is paid off, and he works at McDonald's because he wants to. You see what I'm saying? So at that point, he's got 30K a year, 35K a year disposable. Because my house, I mean, he's paying, you know, taxes, whatever on his house, that good stuff. But his income could actually be bigger than the dentist that Rhonda spoke about that has $90,000 income, but he's got $85,000 in expenses a year. Whereas this McDonald's guy who's like, I heard you mention 50, if he's 50 years old at McDonald's, the perception is he didn't do something right. You know, this is his trying to make it. But again, if he's stuff is paid off and he's just doing it to pass the time, it's a different perspective. And I keep wanting to get past though, how do you get past what you see and even listen to that guy? And it's across the board. It's not just McDonald's. Mm-hmm. You go to the club and the guy is not dressed the way that some of the other guys are dressed. How do you get past that physical perception and listen to what he says? You know, he didn't buy you the top shelf drink. He bought you a Long Island with, you know, real drinks. How do we do that?
So I think something you said is really important when we have these discussions that we don't talk about is like we think about what is your income, but we probably should talk about what is your discretionary income. Because at the end of the day, how much money you make doesn't matter. Right? It's how much money you have left at the end of the month. So I think that's a gem. I've been on Clubhouse a lot, so everything's a gem, but that's a gem.
Yeah, no, that was good. That's a good point. That was a very good point.
Agree.
Really good point. And I think just going back to what I said, you can make that 25 or 30,000, but and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. No problem with that at all. Again, but if you're paying out 25,000 of that 30 a year, there's nothing to get past because you're barely living yourself. If you know, but in the point you just made, Dion, if he has a home that's paid for, his car is paid for, you know, maybe, you know, maybe he just didn't want to work a stressful job. I get that. You know, you have something, you have a means to get your hands on some funds if you have to, because you could refinance your house, you could possibly sell your car if you're living in a metro area and there's public transportation. So you have means to get some type of income, but it's that check to check mentality that I can't deal with, or that mentality of just being complacent. And to go back to your question, how do we get past that initial greeting? Like, I'm going to go back to Rhonda. It's the approach. It's the approach for me. So if you approach me talking out the side of your neck, or you're 45 and you trying to use slang like you 19 or 20, I'm going to look at you like you're crazy, because to me, that means we can't have an intelligent conversation. We're not what we call equally yoked. But if you can get me with that initial 30 seconds, if you can grab my attention, it's like having an elevator speech for, you know, when you first meet somebody. If you're a business owner and you want to be able to tell somebody about your business, it's having your elevator speech prepared. So for me, it's more or less the approach and what you're saying, more so than what you look like, what you're dressed like. Because if you think about it, some of the richest people, you never know that they're rich by what they wear, because they don't go by name brands and, you know, iced out watches and all this stuff. They look like they just got on a Walmart, you know, get up, because and you'll never know what their bank account looks like. So you definitely can't. And I know for me, you know, some days I'll be like, "Oh, Sheena, get it together," you know. So I definitely wouldn't want anyone to judge me based on, you know, what my outward appearance is on some days, because when you work from home and then COVID, y'all know pajamas was our thing. Yeah. You clean, but you know, you're in pajamas and t-shirts most of the day. So don't judge me based on that. So again, for me, it's the approach. It's that initial approach. How you come. You don't come to me at 45. Hey, baby, what's up, baby? You know, no. You come to me with a little bit more class to yourself. Even if you jumping in my DMs, like have some class about it. Don't yo baby me, you know, hi Miss Lady, how you doing? I'll accept that, or or hi young lady, or what have you, before I accept someone that, what's up, boo? At my age, no. So it's more of the approach for me. And when you start talking, are you talking like you have some common sense? Then you're just blurting out words. So that's me.
So can I ask, Dion, can I ask you a question as a man in the group?
Absolutely.
So the flip side, the women, like the women that we were talking about earlier, the ones that expect for their bills to be paid or for things to happen. Do y'all see that? What is there something that's attractive to that type of person or personality that would encourage a man to do something like that, to pay the bills or to want to support them that way financially? Do they show a certain characteristic or something?
I think that's a internal man thing. Not to every man. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the man that's attracted to that is a man who wants control and feels, and not even control in a bad way, but just that's my role. That's my role, is to be the head of the household. She works if she wants. Even if she does work, I pay the bills, blah, blah, blah. I just think that, is a type of guy. Sometimes it's also how you're brought up. Your father may have taught you, this is what you do. I don't care where you work, what you do. You need to be the person that pays all the bills. And she can do some other stuff. She can buy the groceries. She can do those little things. I hate to use that in that term, but so it's sometimes it can also be a bravado kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like if you guys ever seen Martin, where Martin felt that Gina made more than him, and it freaked him out, and he tried to go get all these jobs. For me, I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm more of a guy that I'm truly about being a partner. You know what I mean? And I used to say 50-50, but then, I saw this thing that said change your mindset to 100-100. But I don't know. I'm not that guy. So it's kind of hard for me to speak on behalf of the guy who has to make the most money, who has to be in control. Like I said, I'm straight partner. We need to work together. We need to build together. And I'm looking at, what do you make plus what do I make? And by make, I mean, it could be a financial, or do you make the home? Do I make the home? Right. What do we do together to make this thing work is where I'm at. So.
No, that's great. And that's a wonderful perspective. I'm looking in the chat, and I'll call out some of our regulars that are in the chat. Mr. Cheek or Mr. Rand, y'all are in the chat. Y'all give us some answers to that. What are the things, or what are the characteristics? And I know y'all might not be the type of man either that does that, but just, are there some certain characteristics or things that make that woman who needs or expects her bills to be paid attractive? What is it? There has to be something there other than just the physical, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. But I like what you said, Dion, about the control piece. Whether it's good or bad, it's just that building up, and that kind of ties back into what you were saying at the beginning, Arshina, about the self-esteem, right? Maybe his self-esteem is tied to the fact that, oh, I take care of this, right? And this is me, this is mine type of thing. And so that could also play into it.
Hey, Rhonda.
Yes.
Hey, this is Whitney. I'm sorry. I'm just listening to y'all in the background because I'm working and trying to hear what you all are saying. But I'm sorry I came in late. But I also wanted to bring this to the floor as well. And this is just my personal opinion. I personally feel like when I hear the chatter, whether it's in the group or within my circle, there seems to be this misunderstanding of female empowerment, or what it means to be an empowered woman when you talk to a man. So I, as a Black woman, do not subscribe to mainstream feminism. I feel like there's a difference between Black feminism and mainstream feminism. And just because, so the Black women that I subscribe to, they were fighting for equality in the workplace, not necessarily equality at home. So just because I want to be equal to a man in the workplace, or be able to take on the same responsibilities and get the pay as well, that does not mean that that negates the man's job at home. And I feel like men have a tendency to use that as an excuse not to want to step up, because maybe they have come in contact with women who just totally use that feminism against them. But what I want to make clear for me is that just because I'm a boss or I'm a CEO or an executive in the workplace, I still want to come home and be the little lady. I want us to have a shared responsibility of house and home. So however that looks is between, you know, you and your husband or you and your wife. But I get sick and tired of that being thrown in a woman's face that, oh, you all fought to be equal. Yeah, I fought to be equal in the street, in society. I did not fight for you to be less than when it comes to this partnership in my household. That's what we're not going to do. That's number one. I also live in the DC area. So we all know how expensive it is. And so I have expectations for myself. I have expectations for my partner. And so when I meet a man that's my age, I'm 34. When I meet a man that's my age, the expectations are different for him than when I meet a man that's in his 40s or in his 50s. What I had to make clear to a couple of my girlfriends, you know, there's this push to want to date a man that makes 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever, but typically men don't get to that point in life until late 30s, early 40s. You want a 20-something or a young 30-something to make that kind of money, it's going to be difficult depending on where you are. So don't push someone to be something that they're not ready to be yet. And as women, sometimes we have a difficult time understanding that, you know, depending on where we are in life, education, all that is going to dictate where you fall on the financial scale. Also, if I meet a man in his 50s and he's working at McDonald's, for me, it's like, okay, is that your part-time job? Is that just something you're doing for fun? Because again, I have expectations for you. And if I'm dating him, when we got together, were you working at McDonald's or did you lose your job and had to get that job in order to make ends meet? Like, there's a lot of layers to this for me, but I don't want to just go in and say, I'm not going to date someone because of their job status or their economic status. There's too many different layers to the subject, you know, just to disqualify someone. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up. And then the last thing was, I was dating a gentleman who is Muslim, and it's also a cultural thing too. So he was very adamant about him being the head of the house, and it's his duty to take care of his family. So if he's raising a family in the hood, that's looked upon him as that is your responsibility while your children are living in this environment. You know, so he was very adamant about making sure he made enough money so that he could take care of his family, because that is the way they were raised. So, you know, we also have to look at, you know, the cultural thing behind it, how people were just raised in general, and then what exactly do you want from your partner? And don't be afraid to say, you know what, just like, you know, my girl Amber said, don't be afraid to just say, you know what, nope, that's not for me. Let me move on to something else. Period.
Right. Yeah, I agree. You brought up some
Great
points.
observations,
Right?
Whitney. Yeah, very, very, very much so. Great observations.
Yeah, especially the Black feminism piece. I think that is definitely something that you millennials and Gen Zers are dealing with even more. Because even sometimes my son has said some comments to me like, well, you know, why do I have to take the trash out? You can take the trash out just like I can, right? Y'all are equal. And I'm like, no, you taking this trash out, right? You know,
right. Hillary Clinton is not my role model. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so when I speak of mainstream feminism, I'm talking about white women.
Right.
I don't have any white women that are role models to me. They're secondary, but that's not what I subscribe to.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I believe in gender roles. So yeah, now what the roles are, we can sit down and have a discussion. But what I'm not going to do is take no trash out. Okay,
Amen, sis.
And that's what I was saying though. That's the negotiation you have in your house.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's my only one like hard one no too, because you're gonna clean off the snow as well, or we just not gonna live in somewhere with snow. But like those are my only two. Everything else, like, all right, we can talk about, but I'm not touching the trash and I'm not cleaning the snow off the car.
And
But
you're not cutting the grass either.
well, I can't cut the grass, but we can hire somebody to do that. I'm allergic, like real live, like diagnosed allergic to grass pollen, which is where it's at its highest when the grass is cut.
Right.
So I can't cut the grass. But we can hire somebody to do that. Like neither one of us have to do that job.
Yeah. So no, I agree. They are all of those things are definitely part of the communication, right? It's all part of the communication. And I think that also goes back to your original point, Dion, too, about the how do you get to that point of the communication if you haven't disqualified someone, and without, if you have disqualified someone before getting to know them, right? And I think that happens on both sides, right? Maybe women might disqualify men based on their career or money level or what their presumed money level is. And then we hear stories about, men disqualifying women based on how they look, right? Or something about them. So again, I think we keep coming back to this whole preferences conversation, but it does, I think, come back to that, right? And that, are those things also blocking us, or they're hindering us because we're so focused on what we don't want or what we not going to put up with that we miss out. Or, and there's also, where is the space, as Whitney mentioned, if you're in your early 30s, and where's the space to grow together, right? If you're expecting both of y'all to already be making six figures, where's there space to grow? Or is it, is there, is expectation that you've arrived and this is it, and now we're going to come together? Or is there time or an opportunity to grow together from humble beginnings and continue to build, or something like that too, right?
Yeah, so I missed the preferences conversation. But I think a thing that I've been learning to do is to ask. There's actually a book called The Question Behind the Question. So like to figure out like, okay, that's my preference, but why? And if the why is something, like, I think sometimes the why is the why is always more important, because it tells you why that's your preference. And your preference may not actually be that someone makes a certain amount of money. It may be that they have the ability to do A, B, and C. So the two may not necessarily correlate, but we've assumed that they correlate. So therefore we have this preference that could be a blocker. But even if you meet someone that meets that preference, does not mean you're going to get whatever it is your why is. So I think the whys are actually more important, because you can, those are more fluid. I mean, that also takes deeper conversation, and like that means you have to give more people opportunities, because you can't be on the first day like, all right, so here are all my 25 questions. That's deep about your like upbringing and what have you. But the whys are actually probably what we should be focusing on, because that's what makes the preferences like they may not actually align.
Right. And I think that's a bring, we've been in this whole pandemic situation now for a year. Can y'all believe it? It's been a year. And one of the upsides maybe to this is that it is requiring, in order to get to know someone, you have no choice now but to talk, right? You have to talk. You have to, come up with some conversations. You have to be creative, whether it's Zoom dates or FaceTime or texting and those types of things. And after a while, as we've established in the group, the good mornings and what you're doing, they get old, right? So you're going to have some deeper conversations. And so I think sometimes that could be what helps us get beyond the initial preferences and get to the why. But if your why is rooted in, so like maybe let's just talk about a hypothetical why for these women that are so focused on the money. Like, it's one thing, like you said, Amber, your focus on money isn't from the standpoint of, I'm going to take his money. Your focus on money is, I make money, you make money with me, and we're going to make more money together. Am I right? Okay.
Absolutely. So we're going to spend a lot of money together,
because we're going to spend a lot of money together, right?
You're not going to spend it.
Exactly. And she does like to spend money. But she it's money that she has well earned, and she spends it wisely. But
Sometimes.
but there's a different mindset, I think, from some of the women that have the more predatory thought process when it comes to money, right? Those ones that maybe go out, like you say, with no money because they know somebody gonna buy them a drink, right? And that's a different mindset when it comes to money. So what do we think hypothetically is the why behind that? Why do they, and maybe that's the type of women that some of the men in our group have encountered. So that's why they have this trigger. Like everyone keeps talking about this $40. What's the deal with the $40? I keep hearing, the $40 figure in the group all the time, right? And I'm like, so what is the trigger with this $40? So something has happened. I don't get a chance to stay, now that we're back at work and I'm back at work, I don't get a chance to stay in the group like I did, a year ago when we first started. But I know this $40 is like a resounding theme that keeps coming back. So what is hypothetically the mindset you think behind, or the why behind that?
Dion, can you tell us about the $40?
He cracked up laughing.
Like I am lost with that myself. Like what? I haven't heard that. So
the views in this box do not represent the person. I'm only telling you what I've heard and what I know. But supposedly $40 is the typical price you pay for, I guess, a prostitute. And
wow.
If she only charging $40, that's an issue. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's a whole nother story.
I had no clue. That's new information to me.
That's new. Yeah,
it's like the standard exchange rate.
That's the exchange rate.
Wow, I had no clue about that. To address your question, Rhonda, I feel like it's a sense of entitlement. That. What? You don't agree with me?
No, they killing me in the chat. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel like it's a sense of entitlement that some people have, and some people think more highly of themselves than than what others would. So if you're one of those, as Rhonda said, the predatory, people that are expecting someone to provide these luxuries for you, to me that just says that you feel entitled to what someone can do for you instead of looking for a partnership. I know I said earlier, like, and I hate to keep going back to the Atlanta story, but the women that go down there and they're looking for the ball or whatever to possibly marry or whatever, take out the marriage part to just even have as a side piece or what have you. To me, it's still a sense of, I'm gonna get this money. I'm gonna get whatever I can get, and I'm gonna use what I have to get it. And I guess we've been really focused on the ladies that are these predatory type of people, but there are some men that do the exact same thing. They go out and they seek high profile women that have the good jobs and making XYZ dollars a year and driving XYZ type of cars and wearing Armani suits or what have you. So there are men that do this as well. So I don't want anyone to feel like we're women bashing or lady bashing. It may be more prone to happen from the woman's perspective, but there are men that are predators just like that. They are seeking professional women that can take care of them or what have you. And again, to me, whether it's guy or girl, it's still, you have a sense of entitlement that someone should be taking care of you.
Have you heard the term dating while homeless?
I have. And and it just shocks me that well, it doesn't shock me because not in this day and age, nothing really shocks me anymore. But it's just unbelievable that any person, any adult would be willing to sacrifice so much of themselves to be taken care of. I forget, what is the term when you are, you know, someone like a kept man or a kept woman? What is that term when you're one of those people that, you know, you have this rich mate that's taking care of you? I know kept is not the word, but that's the only word I can think of at the moment.
A sugar mama?
Well, maybe a sugar mama, sugar daddy, I don't know.
Right.
But to me, again, I think it's just all of entitlement. You feel like someone owes you something, like someone owes you, you know, I'm entitled to this lifestyle. But what did you do to get you there besides look pretty or look handsome or what have you? It's like being the eye candy for somebody. You know, what did you do to help create this lifestyle that you're so desperately seeking, aside from looking, you know, looking a certain way, genetically looking a certain way? Like, what did you provide, or what did you offer up at that table to put yourself in a situation where you can have those nice things without having someone to take care of you, or, you know, not being the breadwinner or what have you? So again, to me, it's just entitlement.
It's not like you saying the Drake line, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. But I think, unfortunately, all this comes from traditional gender roles. Because if you think back in the day, there's that book that came out in the 1950s that talked about the woman's role in the house. And so I think what happened is this gold digger thing was the woman looking for the guy that can provide those things. It's unfortunate, but I think it all comes from that, because if the guy wasn't looked upon as the provider, which we talked about earlier, the woman couldn't be called a gold digger because she's out here getting it just as much as he is. And I think that's where we're at now, is it's a little different, where women are doing their thing and they actually are sugar mamas nowadays. But I think gold digger, unfortunately, applies to women a lot because of that traditional gender role. It's totally unfortunate, because if a guy, when you were even saying that guys do the same thing, I was kind of like, well, isn't that just a man looking for a successful woman? But it hit my mind like, that's the same thing. You know, a guy can be a gold digger, but it didn't sound the same coming into my brain. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
It
it's
is definitely
unfortunate.
perceived differently, but
Yeah.
you're right. They're like, oh, he married up, right? Is what they say, or he
Exactly.
you know, he went up. But if a
Exactly.
woman does it, oh, she a gold digger. She just after
You're a
his
gold
money,
digger.
right? And so, yeah, that is definitely there's a double standard there too. And I appreciate you, Arshina, for saying that we're not woman bashing, because we're not. We're really just trying
No,
to,
we're
as the
not.
development
We're
room, just trying
absolutely
to
not.
understand the concept, understand the mindset, and maybe help people maybe be aware. Maybe they don't realize that they're displaying some of these characteristics too, right? That it may be something to help people kind of reflect and think and not get caught up. But the bottom line is that we want people to value themselves and value each other, right? And the little girls that went down to Atlanta and didn't have a plan to get home, they didn't value themselves. They didn't value themselves.
Yeah, I actually think like that what the word I thought of to answer Mr. Dion's question was desperation. Like they're desperate to have somebody in their life that can pay their bill, like that can give them a lifestyle. Because if you, okay, I understand that All-Star Weekend is expensive, but you can get to Atlanta for $200 from anywhere in this country. Round trip if you buy it early enough. So like if you don't have $200, A, you need to not be in Atlanta. And B, you down there desperate for somebody to pay your bills when you get home because you don't have $200 in discretionary income to be in Atlanta. I also want to know where you stayed, but that's another question.
That part.
Because Atlanta hotels are expensive. The flights aren't. But I got a bunch of questions to how y'all made this make sense. And I get like, I didn't look at flights for All-Star Weekend, so I'm sure that they were somewhat elevated, but like, there's some level of I'm doing this. It's almost like gambling or like playing the playing your card. Like I'm gonna do this so I can win $1 million. I need this $1 million. So I'm gonna go play this card to get the $1 million. And while somebody wins, one person wins. There's a whole bunch of people that don't. And I'm not saying not to play your cards, but you got to be strategic with your cards. You can't just be blowing all your grocery money playing cards because you may or may not be the one. And so I feel like there's some level of like, I can't afford to live at any life. Like I can barely make my ends meet if I can make my ends meet. So I need somebody to come help me do it. And it's like, especially, I think it's not just a ballers thing. Like anybody that looks like money or counts on money like can fall into this. But specifically with All-Star Weekend, it's like the little money I need is nothing to them. Like they can give me a few $1,000s a month, and they'd be like, "Here, bye, leave me alone." So it's like it's easy to them, but in reality, that's still somebody's hard-earned money. So yeah, I think it's some level of desperation. I agree that it's entitlement, but I also think that some people like. There's levels to self-esteem. And I see some things sometimes I'm like, Lord, don't ever let my self-esteem be that high. Please. Y'all just be coming out the house looking crazy. Yeah. And like thinking that you're just everything. And like, yeah, you are to yourself. Okay. So
what happened? We lost somebody, but that's okay.
Yeah. There's a bigger question there too. Like, so you're going to All-Star Weekend with a one-way ticket. You're expecting someone to send you back home. So there's no thought of marriage. There's I just want a trip back.
Yeah, and a last minute flight home, I don't care where you coming from. Like if you plan in advance, it's $200 round trip. Last minute, that's a $600, $700, $800, $900 flight. Right. I don't care. That's a lot of money.
And I'm sending you though. That's what I'm saying. I'm sending you away. There's no further contact other than what happened this weekend.
Unless I fly you back out to me again, which is small money. Yeah. Who doing that?
I think that's a mindset issue. And so I think that's where like I know Dion said before, like if the thought process of grown-ups is let's put our money together, how can we achieve this? And I think the mindset of some of those females that we're talking about is how can he help me? How can he help me in my life? And the grown woman mindset is how can my mate and I achieve this together? And so I think it's a mindset issue of I need someone to take care of me and my kids, as opposed to I'm looking for a partner and I can achieve my goals myself. I can achieve I am everything that I ask for. I am everything that I ask for. And I think all of the women on this call, all of the women, we are what we ask for. And a lot of them are looking for everything that they're not. And it's just a mindset issue. And so when you have the mindset that most of us have, it's I want someone and I want us to.
Darn.
It's like as soon as Kim gets to a good point, it freezes.
It felt like it was something good. She just said something, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta write that down. We are what we're asking for. Right. That was so profound. Like Kim, you froze. So please finish your statement. It sounded like it was gonna be.
It was good too. It was good too. So it was just the fact of we are what we're asking for. So everything that I ask, if you fly me to DC this weekend, next weekend I will fly you into Memphis because I am what I ask for. If you take me to Ruth Chris, I'm taking you to Houston's. So whatever you do for me, I definitely can do for you. And I'm ready to go to Mexico. So I can fly into Mexico tomorrow. If you say meet me in Mexico, I can do that because I am what I asked for. And I think a lot of the All-Star Weekend GoFundMes are 20% who are looking for the 80%. And I think that's what it is. And it's just, I think it really falls down to a mindset thing. And I bet I froze again.
No, you didn't. You said it. We heard it.
You
The
did.
20%,
Okay.
80%. That was powerful right there.
Oh yeah. I'm
No.
telling you that we are what we're asking for. That hit home for me because
Mhm.
I've always said that I'm not going to expect something from someone that I'm not willing to give or to put forth. And so, you know, and like I think Whitney said it in her comment, you know, yeah, we are looking, you know, as women, we are looking for that equality in the workplace, but when we come home we do want to be, you know, we want that divine female feminine energy to be exuded. And for me, if that means taking a step back and letting him, you know, be that man, I'm gonna, the same way he's gonna allow me to be that female energy, I'm going to allow him to have that masculine energy as well, because he needs that. Because just like someone mentioned it before, you know, on another call, but when our men go out into the world, they have so much coming at them. So the home is their safe space. So I need to allow him to be a man when he comes into his home. In the same way, he needs to allow me to be, you know, feminine, be that woman when I come, when we come together, so that we balance each other out. So, oh my God, Kim, that was the point to take home tonight to practically close us out. I love it. You know, we are, and I think in this group, if we don't get anything else tonight, I know we joke a lot in the group, and you know, can you do for me what I'm doing for you? We can. Are we willing to? Is the question.
Right.
We can. Anything that we're asking, we can do that. You know, we are basically what you said. We are what we're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
We are willing to do that. So that, to me, that was the take home. Thank you for saying that. That was definitely the take home for tonight. I'm not gonna request something of you that I can't do myself. So
Right. Dion, I saw your hand up. Did you have a hand up to say
No,
something?
I was clapping.
Clapping. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I think we've mentioned that, we've seen that in the group a few times, and people have reduced it to being a tit for tat thing. And it's not a tit for tat. It is literally like we said the word earlier, partnership. It
that's
should be
right.
a partnership.
That's
And
right.
and even like Amber said, the partners should be able to do the same thing, right? So if, and that just that determines the level of the partnership. So um yeah, I think we have covered this topic very well. I hope we've opened some minds, and I know my mindset has changed on a few things. Thank you, Dion. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Whitney and Arshina, and even the people that were commenting a little bit in the chat. We need to do better. All of us need to do better for each other and for ourselves, and recognize the greatness that we all have within, right? And stop blocking our blessings over trivial things. And money can be a trivial thing, but also understand the why behind why those things are important. And I think that is a key takeaway as well, and that we need to think deeper. Maybe is that the word I'm looking for? Um, and be the peace for each other, right? You know,
Yes.
I hear all the time that women are called to be his peace. Well, we need him to be our peace too, right? And you know, we're fighting a battle, many battles on many hands every day. And that's, to me, that's the most important thing that I need right now. When I come home, I just want someone to just be able to like help build me back up, because I feel like I'm out here,
That's right.
whoo, fighting all day, every day, and fighting my own people. That's the worst part about it. You know, in a diverse workplace, it's my people that are giving me the hardest time, and I'm like, I'm trying to help you, sis. You know, so that's another reason why I love these
Look,
calls, because it gives me an opportunity for some positive energy. Yes, Amber, you had
I
something
said,
you want
okay,
to
I'm
say?
gonna pull up. I'm gonna close the door like I did at your old school.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If y'all haven't picked up on it, Amber is my daughter. That's my daughter, Amber. So
Oh, really?
yes, that's my daughter. And so she it's like she said she had to pull up at my old school and have a talk with some people, but no, she's not gonna do that this time. Well, it was the kids last time when she said, "Look, I don't work here, so I can get away with some things."
It was the kids, but it was a couple of the grown-ups too.
It was, yeah. But yes, Amber is my baby girl. She's my number
Oh,
one.
well, thank you for joining us, Amber. Appreciate that. Thank you for bringing a different perspective, and all of you, thank you so
Yes.
much. We're probably 10:11, so it's time for us to close out. But
Yes.
Whitney put in the chat, great discussion. I concur. This was a great discussion. I'm not sure what the chat was like, because normally Rhonda's the one that holds the chat down when we're together.
I was following the chat, but there weren't too many
following
questions in the chat. There were just some comments to what we were
back and
saying,
forth.
and Mr. Cheek told us not to get on the $40 discussion, but we did it anyway. And
Yeah, bro, my bad.
Listen, that was another something I learned. I had no clue what that was, but learn something new every day. But I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. Again, just want to thank all of you for joining us, for helping us to facilitate this discussion tonight. It's always good to just talk things through, get a different perspective. So I do appreciate my brother Dion for joining us,
Yes.
in the Velvet Room. For me, it's learning. It's learning, how to navigate these single streets. So anytime I can get a guy's perspective, I'm down for it. I'm and also getting a perspective from the ladies, because I may not see things the way you do. So definitely learn something from all of you. Whitney, thank you for jumping in with your wonderful comments. Amber, thank you for being straight up with us about your expectations of someone with money. Miss Kim, your points tonight. And as always, Rhonda, it's always my pleasure to co-host with you. So if there are no last minute, anybody else want to say anything before we close out? Dion, you want to drop any last minute gems or nuggets on us, or
My bro in the chat said I'm talking too much, so I'm not gonna do that. But I survived. I was a little timid about coming on here, but it's like you said, it was a nice conversation. I definitely appreciate it. All the perspectives were great. I mean, I wrote some stuff. I was literally taking notes. But no, I appreciate it. I'll definitely come back. I mean, this is good for me. And in these COVID streets, it's kind of, a good social outlet is always good. So I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, please do come back. I just wanted to add, can you believe this is episode 9 of the Velvet Room? So we've been doing this for 9 months. Yes. So we've had some amazing conversations. We've developed some amazing relationships and friendships, and I feel like we're all growing together. And this has been a phenomenal outlet during COVID, and just during the fact that we're coming together from so many different areas of the world, and with the common mindset of getting better and just growing and understanding each other. So thank you all. We're going to keep this going. So next month we'll be back in April. We usually are the second Thursday of the month. So mark your calendar, second Thursday, and we'll come up with a wonderful topic. Send us some chats, some messages in the group, or direct messages on some ideas that you would like. This idea for the money topic initially came from Brother Rod Joyner himself. So hope we did it proud, Rod. And we look forward to doing this again. So thank you all, and be safe and stay well.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful night.
Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.